Hello, everyone. I'm Shelly Dressel, and welcome to my channeling with the Universal Light Beings. As you know, I channel many different energies, many different angels and light beings. Oh, I forgot my earrings. And tonight is what we term the ULBs, or the Universal Light Beings. This is Albayon from Arcturus, Brysentia from Pleiades, and Crystallia, who's from the Omniverse. I've been channeling them, as you know, for a long time. I think it's been 5 or 6 years that I've had these like once or twice a month channels. The website there is crystallinetransformations.com. It is part of my primary, which is goddesslight.net. And so I have my website with all my goddess channelings, which is goddesslight.net. And then the universal beings are all on crystallinetransformations.com. Hello from Sweden. Thank you. I always appreciate everybody in here because it's amazing, and it does really create a wonderful, wonderful energy. I love also that we are a global community. Sweden, and frequently there are people here from Norway, Australia, England, France, Spain, a lot of different places. And then, of course, Canada, the US, Mexico. So we definitely are from all around the world because we're all here for the same thing. We're here because of the ascension. We're here because of the transformation of the earth. It could not be done without everybody working together and all the people that don't know they're working with us. But anyway, so I'm just going to wait another chit chat for another minute. So Atlanta, which is where I'm from, Ontario, Mexico. See, here we come. There's North America for you. And but let me just talk for another minute or two, and then I'll just jump in there. They've been talking to me for a couple of days now. This is funny how this always happens, because sometimes it'll just slide into me. Oh, here's an idea. Oh, here's something else to go on. Here's something else that's going on. And as I'm listening to all these different things, I feel as if it's setting up the energy for what they're going to be talking about tonight. I never know exactly what it's going to be, but frequently they'll give me like little insights and things. I do know that we have continued this massive, massive transformation this summer. Now, for those of you that have been following me, did you see I did a channel, like I think it was last Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, I forget what day it was, about the Lion's Gate, which was last Saturday. Oh, all I did was smear it more. Anyway, so in that Lion's Gate, a group of beings from Sirius A came in, and they didn't really give themselves names or anything, but I saw that there were four, like two women, two feminine, two masculine, and they were together in a group with a hologram of the earth in the middle of them. And so it was a beautiful, beautiful energy, and they said they're going to be working with us moving forward. So not sure what just happened there, but I'm back again. So that's something that you can look for. It's on my website. It's in all of my, different social medias. You can find that. The funny thing is, like I had described the fourth one, I said, I used ChatGPT in creating some of these thumbnails lately, because it's really worked out very well. It's a way of giving something that I can't find when I'm just doing normal searches. And so I described it. I said there was a fourth one there, felt feminine, and I don't know what the breed was. I didn't necessarily see it as a dog per se. I just said shorter, came up to the shoulders of the others, was quieter, but this really, kind of deep energy. I forget what else I said, but nothing very descriptive other than shorter and brown and, just kind of a smaller face and everything. Lo and behold, I think it's my dog, Luna. I had a dog for 17 years, and she transitioned about 10 days ago now. And that was done like a week or maybe 6 days after she had crossed over. And so when I actually saw the picture that ChatGPT put together, which wasn't that much like how I described, I said, "Oh, Luna, you're coming to say hello." So maybe that's something that she'll be doing in the future. Maybe she's from Sirius. Maybe she's a part of that energy. But anyway, it just kind of gave my heart a little warmth. And 17, she's and she was about a 40-pound dog, 35, 40 pounds, because I know they say the smaller ones last longer, but I feel she was always in the room with me. I'm going to cry now. She was always in the room with me whenever I did energy work, and I felt like she was getting that energy from me. She was giving it back to me. She was anchoring, and just the sweetest, sweetest being. So, did not mean to go there, but I did. So that's one of the latest things. The Lion's Gate this year. I think and then on my Goddess Light, I did write a blog about how the Lion's Gate has transitioned over the years in the way that I perceive the lion energies and the vibration and frequency coming through, and the fact that this was a significantly different year, which just goes along with everything else that we've been hearing and seeing with the changes in the universe, with the changes on the earth plane, with the changes that are going along in all the many different things. So many people, well, they're going to talk about it too, but so many people get caught up in why hasn't anything happened, or why aren't things happening? And when your focus is narrow and down like that, you're not seeing all these massive changes that are taking place. So that's my perspective, is that huge, huge, huge changes have been taking place, in particular this summer. And we're in a really, really special time. Okay, well, I'm just going to get going. It's been about 5 or 6 minutes. I haven't seen anyone from Rumble on here yet, but I imagined oh wait, there's Rumble up there, Mexico. Okay, perfect. So thank you all for being here, and let me just jump in. Greetings. It is I, Crystallia. I come to you at this time to be able to share my love with you, to be able to share my light, and to be able to be a part of all that is happening here, all that is not only happening on your planet, but out in the universe. I was one of the ones dropping in energies and insights into Shelly over the last few days, because one thing that she was just telling you about how the energies from Sirius came through and spoke in a way that they have not before. She was speaking about how the Lion's Gate was different than it has been before. And this is really important, because it's literally as if your universe is reshaping itself. And what I mean by that is, people, they might think of a universe as just this expansion of energy. There's no edges to it. There's no, it's just a state of being. Some people think of it as levels. Some people think of it as distance from one place to another. So there's many different ways in which you can think about your universe. The way that I perceive it is there are multiple different planets in relationship to one another. And these planets not only work with each other, they work off of each other. There are various stars and moons and suns and orbs and all sorts of different things that are also spaced throughout your planet, and they are there to create the stability. So the energies that you receive from your sun is not only breaking down old energy and helping to build up new, but then the energies received from your moon, the energy received from some of these stars, the energies from the three-eye atlas. So there have been multiple different levels and layers of things that are also going on that is reshaping the way that your universe works in connection with one another. It will come about that there are probably more planets within your galaxy than what you realized before. Consider your Earth plane. You have the Earth, you go deep inside the Earth, and you have what you call Lemuria. You have that space behind the ice wall, which I'll talk about. That was one of the questions. You have, coming from Lemuria and then going outward, you think, okay, they must be a lower dimension, but actually they're a higher dimension. So dimensions are not linear. Dimensions are not horizontal or vertical. Dimensions kind of go expand, they contract, they go up, they go down, and it's a state of being. They are aligned with the Earth. They are the core essence of the Earth. But not only is Lemuria inside there, there are other civilizations that have also gone inside of the planet but they all work cohesively with one another, and they're from different time-space realities of your Earth plane. It was never a very serious consideration, but if this ascension had not worked up here on the surface of your planet, another potential was that it would either A, be removed all completely, B, that it would be a third energy that would go inside of the planet, or C, there was that potential very worst case scenario was that the entire planet would be absorbed or dissolved or, killed or broken up, so when you stop and think about it, that's a very wide range of potentials that can happen. And there was that great deal of diversity in things when you had such a contrast of what was living on, not only on your planet, but in the universe here. So it's important to speak about that for just a moment. Those that had dropped the vibration of the planet, that were consciously doing that were about enslavement and all, they were the ones that had that impact on this whole part of the universe. So some of these planets that you will be hearing about in the future were actually a very high vibrational frequency, and they were not perceived by but as you looked out to the universe and as your astronomers were looking at the stars and the planets, they did not see these planets because they were a much higher vibration. As the Earth is rising in its vibration, these stars and planets are going to become noticeable to you. So don't be surprised when that happens. And it may be that some of you are going to notice when you're looking up in the stars, at the stars in the sky, there are so many things that there are people that look at a particular place at particular time, and so they know consistently what it looks like. And they'll be the ones that are first going to say, I don't remember that being there before, or I don't know what that was over there. I don't, okay, I just heard someone say, well, how many are we talking here? Thousands or hundreds? And I think it may be maybe in the neighborhood of 50. That's what's coming to me immediately. But stop and think about that. Of all the planets that you know, we all know that there's more than what has been documented for your knowledge. And so then if you consider there are maybe 50 more that are of a higher frequency, that's going to be helping and anchoring and lifting up the vibration and frequency of the planet. So I find that to be very exciting. And I just wanted to share that with you because of the importance of the Earth doing its part in relationship with all of this. Okay, so then another thing, here we are on this day, the 12th, and it was a solar eclipse that went over what you call Europe. But it was a very powerful solar eclipse because not only did it come as the Lion's Gate itself was shifting downward or closing down, it was about sealing off, it was about anchoring, it was about amplifying all of these changes that had come in with the Lion's Gate. As you know, the Lion's Gate is one of the most open or long time open portals on the Earth plane. They all come at various and frequent times, but some of them are open for a long time and some of them are open a shorter period of time. But the Lion's Gate was actually one of those that's open for quite a long period of time, what you would call 2.5, 3 weeks, something like that. So consider that it's something that has been open. It's something that has been sending information and energy into each one of you. Everyone felt it. I don't know of anyone that's on the Earth plane that hasn't been either sleeping more, sleeping less, having whatever their experience is about that. And so it's important to understand that there's a reason why everything was happening as it was. But I digress. So to have this eclipse on this day, when everybody woke up this morning, the energy and the vibration of the Earth had changed yet again. And then this eclipse was breaking down. It was no mistake that it was done over Europe, because Europe is the next part of the planet that is going through this massive changes. Here's the good news. As slow as you think the United States has been to create these changes and take down these old systems, the people that are in Europe and all of these changes that are going to go with the countries in Europe, it's going to go much faster for them, because even though you think it was slow, it was actually quite swift and consistent in the transitions that's been taking place in the United States of America. And so now Europe, they've already been laying the foundation. They've already been working in with the energies that were put forth. And so this eclipse going through, because it was all the way down south of Spain and out in the Mediterranean, going somewhat into Africa, all the way up through, and even having an impact on part of the Russian continent or that part of it. So I guess I just want to share that any place that eclipse had a direct impact on, it was directly breaking down old energy, old stuck energy. It was clearing out everything that was in that pathway. And then in doing so, it had an impact on the whole rest of the planet. Whenever there is an eclipse of any sort, it does have an impact on the entire planet, but most especially for those that were in that pathway. Okay, so then now tonight, there's going to be a meteor shower, as you call it. Meteor showers take place many, many times. You can, in some parts of your planet, you can go out and see a meteor shower at any time during the night. But tonight, there are going to be even more planets that are sending energies into the Earth plane. So you call it a meteor shower because you think it's the rocks that are going throughout your universe. And indeed, that is somewhat what is going on. But this meteor shower is also about sending in energy, sending in impulses. So everything that was just broken down can now be absorbed, can now receive, when you keep giving an energy to something and it is not open, it just slides right off or it slides right back and it doesn't have any impact on it. But when you break open that energy and then it gets filled up with these energies that are coming down from the universe, it creates a dramatic change. Oh, I was just remembering there was a third thing. So this morning, there was an alignment of the planets that also was having an impact on that solar eclipse being able to happen. So that's just 3 things in 24 hours. And you put on top of that the Lion's Gate that we just had. So you can stop and look at anything that's going on at any point in time and see, wow, there's some changes that are happening here. The more that there is a light vibrational frequency on the Earth plane, any change that is taking effect moves much more quickly and has a much deeper impact because it's no longer going into that hard shell that was not absorbing the light frequency. So this is a very, very exciting time. And I wanted to share with you, in particular, the fact that you're going to be seeing new planets and that you're going to be hearing and channeling information and all from new planets. Now, this group of 4 that Shelly was telling you about at the very beginning that come from Sirius, that is another group that I'm pretty sure she's probably going to work with them on another basis. But they were telling me, and because I wanted to communicate with them. Here's the thing. There are billions of people upon the Earth plane. Millions, if not billions, have the ability to channel, to receive insights, to receive downloads, to receive information. So that is something available in every single human. Does every single human do it? Does every single human pay attention to it? No, they don't. But for those that do, such as Shelly and such as many of you that are listening, when there are things that happen, these groups of energies or beings will choose, oh, I'm in alignment with them. Maybe they'll chat with me. And so that's why I wanted to bring that up again. This is a group that is in alignment, and I'm laughing in the background because of Shelly's image of her beloved pet. And was it actually her dog? I'm not sure it was, but it did give her great love and great joy to be able to see that image in something that was going to be more permanent. I feel as if her dog was not necessarily from Sirius A, but maybe there's a link there because anything like that can happen. So that group, one of their biggest messages to you last week, if you will recall, is about they're now focusing on bringing in 6th, 7th, and 8th dimensions. It's no longer about trying to manifest the 5th dimension. That's here. That's done. That's anchored. So now they're talking about being able to manifest 6, 7, 8. Again, these may all just be numbers to you, but they're numbers that are important because way back when you were in the 3rd dimension, The fifth seemed something way out of sight or out of the potential of possibilities. And then you shifted up through the fourth. The fourth was a way station, and you've been anchoring here for at least 7-8 years. And so that's why we're talking about the next phase or the next level is about bringing in even higher frequencies. So what does that mean to you? It means that the energy of the earth plane will become even more transparent. It means that all of those things you've been seeking to manifest will be much easier to manifest. And these beings have been monitoring Earth for at least 4 or 5 years of your Earth years. And they were like, nope, 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 nope. But this year was the year they said, now Earth is ready to be able to receive us. So that's something really important for you to acknowledge for yourself, to understand that, yes, you are there. Yes, you've done the hard work. And yes, things are changing around you. And it's all here as a means of helping you as you move forward. So be aware, be conscious, be loving, be compassionate, because in everything moving forward, the foundation is being loving and compassionate. Something just slipped through the consciousness, saying that so many light workers now are kind of digging in at each other or not being nice to one another or attacking. And I think that's something very, very important for everyone to consider. Number one, if you feel a need to attack someone else, that's usually coming from low vibrational frequencies that that you have to tear something down you cannot see and respect and understand. So as all of these low vibrational frequencies are being removed from the earth, those nefarious ones are just slamming as hard as they can anything at all that's going to hurt humanity and hurt people. So my sense is that those that are acting seemingly different than their usual self is that something is being triggered in them as all of this slamming energy is being pushed into all of humanity. So if you encounter something like that, or if you see something like that, as always, use your discernment. Maybe there's something they're saying that I need to know, and maybe there's something I didn't know before. Or is it AI? Is it spam? Is it fake? Is it something to just get people riled up? So be aware of at all times, be aware of how you are looking at yourself, how you're looking at the world, and how you interact with everyone around you and with anything that you're watching, because there's so much social media available, or even the media, even the things you watch on TV. Be aware of, what am I feeling? What is the message? What is the foundation? And at all times, be in your heart center, show love, and know that as these slamming energies are here, it's only because they're using up all of their reserves, because they're about to go away permanently. So that's the truth. Okay, I will let that go for now. Sorry, I got a little bit on my bandwagon there, but I did have some questions tonight, so I'm very happy to look at those. Oh, okay, hang on here. Let's see. Why are there so many highs, energy highs, and then energies lows during the ascension? Why is it so hard to get to another level? Okay. Sorry, this is really bringing me down. So here's the thing. It's kind of sort of, at first when Shelly glanced at the question, she was thinking it was the one that I had just talked about. But your highs and lows and your everyday vibrations, it's important for you to just understand you're going to be high, you're going to be low. Your frequency is going to be really light and excited and transparent. And then you might have areas where you're frustrated, angry, or depressed. So pay attention to how often and how long are you in this divergence. It is almost impossible for everyone to stay at a high vibrational frequency 24/7, day after day after day, because you cannot maintain it on the earth plane without more energies or more things around you to help you maintain that high vibration. So the waves, the ups, the downs, everything's like that, that's to be expected. And it's just because people cannot fully maintain and sustain the high light vibration for long, long periods of time. So instead of saying, why is this happening? Why am I not going? Just understand that this is a normal part of life. This is a normal part about how this is all going. Don't necessarily think about what level am I at. I know I just got done talking about the level. I get it. But don't fixate on a number. Instead, just know that the more that I stay in my heart center, the more that I'm loving and compassionate towards myself and others, the more I'm going to stay in the highest vibration available to me. And if I go up and down, just hope and work on it that I stay at the down level as little as possible, and then I'll bump right back up. So it's just a part of being human. That's the answer, in the last sentence there. Could you please ask about the lands beyond the ice wall in Antarctica? So we love this. I love this place. And Lemuria is more, okay. So yes, the earth is round. Yes, it is a sphere. Yes, there are, and every time you walk in any place, it feels as if you're walking on it. So that's why these people have these flat earth ideas, but it is not flat. It is round. And so I wanted to say that at the beginning. And I'm not even going to go into all of the ifs, ands, or buts about that. But Lemuria is in a part of the inner earth that is more towards what you would call the Pacific Ocean, but more north, more towards the United States, Hawaii, Alaska, kind of up in that portion of the planet. And then that which is called Agartha is located more in the southern. And that actually came after Lemuria. It is a very ancient time. Was it before Lemuria or was it after? It was actually before Lemuria. There are some links to that which it begins with a T. No. There are many things that you see on the surface of the planet and you think, someone can say it in here, that civilization that nobody ever talks about, but that's where a lot of the giants were, and that's where a lot of these very big buildings came from. T or something like that. Anyway, Agartha is connected to those, and it was more down in the southern and like closer to what you might call Africa and those parts of it. So when you go through the ice wall, there are many different reasons why they talk about the ice wall. Tartaria, thank you. I knew someone would have that answer for me. Thank you very much. Agartha is associated with Tartaria. Okay, but Tartaria was not necessarily before Lemuria. It was after, but Agartha was before. It's very hard for me to talk about time, space, reality, so I'm just trying to talk about how I see it as I can. So the ice wall is literally ice, but there are also many, many different barriers that were created when Atlantis sank, when the other times of civilization went inside of the planet. They created barriers to keep the nefarious ones from being able to come in. There's many, many people that talk about that the Nazis after World War II, that they went down to Antarctica and that they went into Antarctica and that they were taking it over and they were continuing the Third Reich down there. They did get into a portion of it, but none of them got into the true origins of the Earth. There were distinct barriers there. They could never get through the barriers. They tried very hard to get through those barriers, but they did not get through. So when you talk about the ice wall and you talk about seemingly looking over and seeing lush land, that is what is on the other side of the ice wall. And it is civilizations that have lived, some of them lived up on top of the planet, and some of them were always inside of the planet. Because when Gaia was created, we're talking billions of years ago, it was created by layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. And on all of these various layers, there were civilizations. And so some of them just disappeared. Some of them had a particular purpose. But the one that's known as Agartha and the one that's known as Lemuria are two that were predominant and strong and lasted for thousands of years. And they're the true anchors of the high vibrational frequency on this planet. So nobody is going to get into that until the time is right. They may come from outside of that and work and communicate with the humans, but they have what you might call spaceships. They had those that attacked those that were from Germany and some of these other countries that were for nefarious means. And they finally let them have that piece that was outside of the wall so that they could monitor what they were doing and so that they could understand that what was represented there could represent what was happening on top of the planet. So, sorry, I'm downloading into Shelly, and as you know, she shorts out sometimes. So, as I'm talking about this, the important thing for you to know is that this is all representing parts of your planet. Your planet is in some ways way bigger than you ever thought it was. It also contains dramatic histories. That history can never be lost, even with the Alexandria Library, when that was destroyed, the documents cannot be lost because they are forever in energy and vibration and sequence to keep all of that information. So it's interesting how more and more people keep talking about the ice wall, and all of that is preparing people for the understanding that something is going to happen. I can also see where so many of humans are like, well, we're going to have an expedition. We're going to send an expedition. No, that's never going to happen. They're never going to get in. Just as the people that literally set up house there and were living there and were trying their various weapons to get in. You're not going to get in until it's the right vibrational frequency and until it is decided by all that it is safe for humanity to know about it. And then at that point, it will be as if the days go, the wall comes down and things happen. Okay, I heard someone say, well, how long are we talking about here? I'm thinking 50 years, 100 years. No time soon is the point. And but there will probably be emissaries that will come from inside there that will interact with humanity. And but that open movement is not going to happen for a very long time in the future. Okay, so that's my take on that, and I'm sure there are many others that have other information about it too. Okay, wow, I'm talking a long time. Can you speak of Payander? Is he still around? Who is he working with? And I believe this question came up from Shelly because someone had recently worked with him in a private session. Yes, Payander is still around. He was part of the Three-Eye Atlas, as you know, and just as Albayon, Brysentia, me, just as we're all here as an aspect of our soul, an aspect of ourself, this aspect of Payander stayed in this area so as to work with humanity as they continue to go through this evolution. So Payander sometimes is on one of the motherships, but he has recently worked with Albayon, and he has his own ship. And that group of 4 Sirians are also on that ship with him. They'll come and go. And what he's doing is creating a space where sometimes humans will go up to his ship and sometimes he'll come down onto the Earth plane. But the Three-Eye Atlas is gone from this part of the universe, but it is continuing to do the work that it was set out to do. There was another question for Albayon, but I'm going to go ahead and answer it. Does the Three-Eye Atlas have a booster coming around Earth, and infusing it with the 5D that's coming in November of this year? And so it's not going to be a booster that comes from the Three-Eye Atlas, but it is going to be something similar to the Atlas in that it was a ship that was moving through, creating change. So I suppose someone could look at it and say, yeah, it's a booster. but it's completely different than the Three-Eye Atlas. It's coming from another part of the universe. And the Three-Eye Atlas was, again, as I've been talking about so much, the breaking down and the removing and the clearing out. So this next phase that's coming, I would think of it as the next phase as opposed to a booster that's helping what was already done. This next phase is about really integrating the higher vibrational energies, and that's what's going to be coming around November, December of this year. So very exciting times. Remember to stay in your heart center. Remember to know that there is only love at the end of the day. And I am very excited about everything that I see happening on the earth, because this is a very pivotal time. And even though you get into your minutia and you get all caught up in things, the hard part is actually done. And so now, as you think about it, as all that breaking down you've been doing, so now as you continue to integrate and you receive more higher frequencies and you receive more energy, that's the big change. That's what's coming about. So anyway, thank you so much for this opportunity. Ansaluia. Greetings. It is I, Albayon. Whew. Whenever I follow Crystallia, it is literally as if she has lifted up the whole earth plate. She has lifted up all of our energies. I just love this expansion that it is to be around her. And I know we probably say this just about every time that we connect with one another, but that was now sent out into all of humanity. It was sent into the collective consciousness. It was sent into every single human, and it was there as a means of just helping to really lift up and help to move forward all that is happening on this planet. So very, very, very exciting times. All right, now, okay, hang on a second. I just downloaded into Shelly again. There's been a lot taking place, and I'm going to talk the political stuff right now because I loved what she said about some of those other things. But talking about Europe at this time, you were already hearing about the EU breaking apart. You were already hearing about planets, about countries taking back their sovereign identity and their sovereign money, and breaking down anything that was a part of the central banking system, that was a part of the nefarious ones, has needed to be broken apart, has needed to be dismantled. And so that was, many of you are asking, is that complete? Is the central bank, has that been dismantled? And I actually I know what I feel is the answer to that, but I want to go inside and see if I can get more details. The central bank has been dismantled. What you see happening around the world is a facade that is maintaining what was there until these other things can take place. But when you look beneath that facade or behind that facade, however you want to think about it, it is being run or manned by those that you call the white hats. So yes, it's been dismantled. Yes, it's taken down, and they have been in a place of staying power, or just trying to maintain consistency. I understand that so many of you are sick and tired of the wait. You're sick and tired of not seeing the arrest and all these things. And I have to tell you again and again and again that this is something that has been on your planet for multiple thousands of years. And it has been dismantled over the last 50 to 100 years. So stop and think about that. And then you guys have been thinking about it and aware of it for maybe 10 years. So be aware that there is so much that has to happen, and so much that has already happened. And when I say you are well past the tipping point, you are here at the very end of everything. So try not to get caught up in, I want to see this, I want to see that. If it hasn't happened, it's not happening. all that does is feed the negative energy of those that, as Crystallia said, like lambasting all of humanity right now, trying to keep people upset, trying to keep people angry and frustrated. And anytime you get angry and frustrated, you're just helping them. Now then, what can you do about that? You can make a conscious choice not to tie into it. Because Shelly received at least 3 emails from people or messages saying, all caps and like the shouting and all, the devastation of humanity, the devastation of people. Well, stop. Whew. Don't do it. Just don't do it. You either believe that humanity is going to survive and thrive and excel in this new higher vibrational energy, or you don't. And all of those people that are screaming and yelling and angry, are you wanting to be convinced? Is that what it is? So look at yourself and wonder, why are you so screaming and angry and needing to be convinced about? Because everything is originating within each one of you. And so as humanity is creating this massive change, it's already been done by millions of you that are in the highlight frequency that have done this work. But for everybody else that still gets caught up in everything, still gets angry, still is carrying that all around, well, let it go. Let it go. You being angry is not going to help anything else from taking place. It's not going to help them disclose anything. They have a very specific time, space, reality when everything is going to happen. And there's a lot of fluctuation that has taken place. There are a lot of things that end up getting pushed back into a different time. However, everything is happening exactly as it needs to. And I'm just saying that this whole ascension, we've talked about it being spiritual. Well, what does that spiritual ascension mean to each one of you? It's that each one of you have to do your own growth. You have to go inside. You have to do that growth that allows you to let go of the past, let go of karma, let go of anger, let go of all of these things that were controlling and manipulating you. So many people are aware, the sheeple, the control and manipulation of the nefarious ones. Well, when you're angry and you're lashing out, you are exactly what they want you to be. And so your ascension is the letting go of that, the clearing out of that, the moving beyond that until you can say, oh, I see what's happening there, but I'm choosing not to get caught up in it. And I'm choosing not to do that because I am enveloping love. I am enveloping my soul essence. I am enveloping that galactic vibrational frequency. So that doesn't mean you never, ever get upset. Of course you will. But sending out letters, sending out messages, sending out stuff. And like she talked about with all these people digging in on each other, that's all the low vibrational energy. And that's all what is being cleared out. And you help that by not getting caught up in it and not screaming and yelling at other people. Okay, that was not what I intended to say, but I assume it needed to be said since I said it. All right, so I did want to talk, though, like I said, about the central banks. So I'm now going on the premise, since we've got that all out of the way, that I can talk about these things, and you will understand that there are many layers for how things are happening. What I do want to go in, and there still remain that we've said, what has it been now, a year or more, that which was satanic at the top, the true Satan that was embedded in the earth plane was removed, a year ago. The head of the cabal, the head of the nefarious ones, it's not even the cabal, that was just one bit of it, but going all the way to the top, they've been removed. But these minions that remain in Iran and a couple of those places, they are the ones that are generating the last of this attack against humanity. So let me say that as I'm looking at them, I can see that transition has taken place. And then you look beneath the surface and you see that there's still warfare in some of the places. And that is truly, truly, truly getting to be at the end of where it needs to be. It is getting to be at the completion of being able to remove this individual and all of the little tentacles that come from it throughout the world. So some of the things that people are concerned about is the weather patterns that are throughout the world. It's either too hot here, it's a drought over here, it's flooding over here, it's earthquakes over here. Many of these things are Gaia recalibrating herself. So not everything is done. There was a question on here. Someone asked me about HAARP. Is HAARP still being manned by the nefarious ones? And are they specifically trying to hurt the world? And indeed, HAARP itself has been predominantly taken over by the white hats. And there are certain things that may still look as if it's something negative, but it's actually helping to clear out sometimes it's the dumbs, sometimes it's groups of people and energy. But there are still a few of the nefarious ones that are triggering things through HAARP, or triggering fires, or triggering different things. They might use those directed energy weapons. And so, yes, there is still some of that left. The thing is that I want to stress to all of you is where that used to be massively accepted, even just a year ago, it was spread throughout the world. I'm going to have to say, going back 2 years, maybe 3 years, at that point, there were massive amounts of people that were activating the dues, that were activating HAARP, that were doing nefarious things to the planet. But every year, if you go back and look at this year compared to last year, it's dramatically less. So when you look at it now versus what it was even just 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it's like 1/10 of what it was. So yes, there are still some nefarious ones out there. And yes, they are still trying to wreak havoc. We've already said this. They're the ones that are putting all that spam out. They're the ones that are trying to instigate problems with people. And so, yes, there are a few of them that are triggering some of these, what do you call it? Weather type patterns. But that's not all of it. Gaia is also doing her purging. Some of it is trying to be put out by others. And, so when you get upset about that, understand that at the end of the day, everybody that transitions, they're transitioning at the time their soul agreed that they were going to transition. Sometimes when it's a group of people, it's to bring your attention to a particular situation and have people say, oh, wow, look what happened there. And you feel the compassion, you feel the love, you feel the support for those that are left behind. But some of these reports that you're seeing are false. They're grossly, they're filled with way more numbers of people than are true. There are people that are dying, but there's always people that are dying. There are droughts that are taking place. And I'm just seeing, like, I know in the UK, they said they're having a drought. I'm seeing people using native means of bringing down the rain, of connecting to the rain, of bringing the rain into the earth. Some of those I feel are due to those centers, those information centers, the 3I centers. So I think that's one of the reasons for the drought there. But I also feel as if this is bringing to light so many things that got stuffed or got ignored for many years. And it's going to be a trigger to bring about changes for ways that they can support the land, support the people, and make these. That doesn't make it easier right in this now moment. But when you look at the big scheme of things and the big picture, it helps you to understand that sometimes these things happen to bring awareness to make changes. And that's what a lot of this is that's going on the earth plane. So rather than getting upset about these things, how can you work with it? Can you work with the energy? Can you help to manifest rain? Can you help to diminish the rain? Can you help to just by sending the energy, working with the people, whatever it is that you feel drawn to do, that's going to be way more effective than, tapping into all the frustration and anger that people are feeling. Yes, there are things that need to be addressed. Yes, there are things that need to be changed. But That's always been the case. That is not anything new. The thing to focus upon is the fact that the negativity is way, way less than what it was, and the light and the energy and the potential is dramatically more than it ever was. Okay, so kind of going on that term, two other things that were coming up here is if the central banks are down, there was something that people were talking about, the debt clock, and did the debt clock get renewed? And once the central bank is completely out, when are they bringing in the currencies that reflect the true monetary systems? So let me go inside and let me look at that debt clock, and it feels to me when I'm talking about this, it's very interesting. And perhaps this is to do with the fact I have the shell. Like when I looked inside and I said, okay, so for those that don't know, the debt clock is what keeps the world, the entire planet, in debt to the central banks. And so when I first said, is the debt clock renewed? Are they still continuing to do that? I got no, it's done, it's over, it's complete. I mean, I literally heard all that. And then kind of sliding into that, I said, but look at this over here and look at this over here. So I believe there is still a facade. I believe there is still an overlay that gives people the perception that it has not changed, that they are still doing things the way that it, whatever they've been doing in the past. So there will be some people that think that it is not done, but honestly, I think it is done. And I think it all goes with these things that are happening throughout this summer or winter, depending on where you live, throughout June, July, and August. Let me say that. When are they going to, for the United States or different places, they've talked about the rainbow money or the currency. It's already being created, and it is being backed by the gold. It is not being fabricated on the fiat system. So yes, that's already been created, but they have not distributed it yet, and they're not going to distribute it until they have officially taken down all of those systems. And that is what was that was done in early July, and almost all the countries. Apparently, it looks like they have to make these changes in Europe, and they're making changes in Australia. It feels like these changes have to take place, and then they'll come back around and they'll replace it with the type of currency. Each country will have their own currency that is gold backed, that is valued. That money, that gold that was sitting in the Vatican and many other places, that's already returned to every single country. And it is all, I mean, it's been there for 6 to 8 years in some cases. But it's there waiting for all of this to take place, for all of this to come down in order to implement the next phase of what it's going to be for prosperity and abundance on the earth plane. Yes, the day will come that you don't have money at all, but not any time for the next 100 years. Because it is a source that is recognized, and it is a source that will continue to just be out there. So that just slipped into the consciousness as we were talking about that. Be very careful about the many scams that are taking place right now. The banks are not going to fail, period. Now, there may be certain small banks that don't survive. They may get absorbed by bigger banks, but there will not be any sort of mass loss of money that individuals are going to experience, because it is supported, and every single one of the large banks have already capitulated, have already let go of the central bank, and they're now working under the quantum financial system. But that phrase is not going to come out. Probably, it could very well come out sometime this month, but it may not come out for a while. By a while, I mean within 1 to 2 months. It's It's done. It's like, I keep, this is what it's so hard. It's like when I connect into the country and I ask about it and I say, what's going on here? What does this mean? And it's like, it's done. We're just waiting for superficial things to take place, and then it'll be made known to everybody. Now then, there was one other thing. The midterm elections. And I know that there were lots of questions, but these were just notes that Shelly had jotted. Remember how people have asked this multiple different times, and every time I look at it, I keep getting a blank. Well, this time it went in through Shelly's consciousness. Is that blank because it's not been decided, or is that blank because something totally different is going to happen? So let me look at it again. In the United States, will they have the midterm elections this November? And I get no. I get that every single time. So I don't know how things are going to come down. They did show how the stolen elections, and that is out there, and that has awakened vast numbers of people, and many states, many of which had never thought about it before, are now looking at their states, and they're finding that it's been much more rampant. And I feel as if something's going to come out this month that is going to show that unless they can do a completely different type of voting system, they're not going to have elections, at least not in November. It might be delayed. But they're not going to have elections again using the system that they've used for the last 15 to 20 years. Okay, let's get on to these other questions, because I've been chatting quite a bit already, haven't I? Oh, that was my first question that was down here. Will the election fraud being exposed change the midterm elections? Yes, it will. Okay, so this one is kind of long, so I'm going to try to summarize it. Fauci's on trial. Is it the real Fauci, or is he a clone or look-alike? They've talked about the Fauci diary. They've talked about his phone records, and yet, okay, so that's kind of a different thing. Will the sleepers be aware of this? Are people becoming aware of the COVID vaccines that were forced upon them? And what is going to happen with all these different lies? And also, I mean, we know that many have thought that Fauci was accountable and executed through Gitmo back in, 2016, 10 years ago, quite a while ago. So let me look at this and see what the energy is around it. You are very well aware that there are many people that have already been executed for crimes against humanity, and he is absolutely one of them. He is he is responsible for all of the major illnesses that you have had over the last 50 years. He specifically was a part of creating the AIDS. He was specifically a part of creating Ebola. He was a part of creating COVID. All of these different things that were taking place, he was a part of it. There were vaccines. They keep talking about the mRNA, or the vaccines that are affecting your mRNA. And they started practicing those more like 30 years ago. So people that are, and obviously it was way worse in these COVID vaccines that people had, but it's something that he's been working up to for a very, very long time. So most people have gotten a vaccine of one sort or another, and chances are they've already had stuff like that that put into their bodies that have to do with messing with your cells and changing things. Unless there's someone that literally has never, ever had a single vaccine in their life, which is very, very, very few and very seldom. The good news here is that most bodies were able to clear out a lot of what was put into the body. Your body just automatically did that. It was like, oh, this doesn't belong here, get rid of it. And since those COVID vaccines have come out, there have been dramatic numbers of deaths that were associated with that. And a lot of the things that they learned about that, like respiratory problems, cardiac problems, those are two of the primary ways in which people have seen issues as a result of this. You can energetically dismantle anything that's going on in your body. You can do this for any illness that you have. You can do it after any vaccine. You can do it for many different reasons. There are herbal interactions. Every time we talk about this, someone will come up here and say, oh, look at such and such a website. They've got a lot of different things that you can do to counteract what was done. So the other thing to be aware of is some of those things that were put into the people's bodies were put there as like a receiver. And then when they activated all that 5G stuff that would have all the control and manipulation, that would be what was sending out the energy. It would be received by your body and activated in your body. Well, that's been all dismantled. So you may have these receivers in your body, but you're not having the input that's coming in to trigger it to cause you to have a lot of problems. That's not saying that some people aren't having problems. They are. But understanding it in this way, you can then go inside of yourself. You can work with your own cells. You can work with dismantling these things. You can work with changing these things. And as they bring out more and more of these alternative healing modalities, that is also going to work with this. But as you work with your own body, work with your own cells, work with illuminating every cell within your body, filling it with light, filling it with the high vibrational frequency, that changes everything. That creates a healthy body, that creates healthy organs. And all of this is what allows you to be the most optimal physical person that you can be. Okay, so I wanted to talk about all of that first. Was that Fauci? No, it wasn't. It was an actor playing him. They asked, was this a clone? The people that monitor the clones are the nefarious ones. And was that a clone? We get a no, it was not a clone. It was an actor that was, he was specifically there with all of his, I plead the fifth, as, was essentially saying he was guilty. But anyway, that was not him. He has been long removed from here. Okay, isn't this interesting? Probably because Shelly's looking at these questions ahead of time. Is HAARP still hindered by the evildoers and that drought in UK? So we've already talked about that to a degree, and I don't need to go back over it again. Will the Democrat Muslim El Said from Michigan be elected? He won the primary, and none of us need or want him. This reminds me of the guy in New York City. So let me look at this one. I think this was for governor. I assume it was for governor. He will not be elected. Of course, we didn't think, we can never say that guy's name. We didn't think the guy in New York was going to be elected either. We thought New York was smart enough not to fall for that. But of course, he wasn't elected legally. He was placed there by illegal means. And so the big question is, and this guy, we agree, he is not the one that the people of Michigan want to elect. Even the Democrats, a lot of them don't like him either. And so the question is, are they going to fix the election before he could, falsely get into that? Okay, we don't think there's going to be an election. And so therefore, we don't think he's going to be elected. The important thing to do about this is just keep shining the light that all of the corruption is shown, and that takes down the old system so that you cannot have the false things taking place. And then here's another weather thing. Everyone's into the weather tonight, aren't they? Can you ask about the widespread flooding in Southeast Australia? Hey, wasn't there another one about the earthquakes in Western Australia? I don't know. Oh, here it is. What caused the earthquake in the desert area of Australia yesterday? Can you tell us if it was? So there's flooding in Southwest Australia. Oh, I'm sorry. My pardon. So flooding in Southeast Australia. Earthquakes in Western Australia. Well, we remember seeing that there's been we've talked for so long about Australia. It comes up in here many, many times because many of you are from there. And they have been solidly, heavily under that mind control, and they've been very slow to respond to the changes that are taking place worldwide. It feels like the earthquakes, they had massive snowstorms that went across a lot of Australia too. So they've had these heavy, heavy, heavy weather patterns. And it feels to me as if many of those weather patterns are there to break up the old energy. It's there to break down the way that people look at one another, the way that their states or whatever they call them, territories, respond to one another and their leadership. So a lot of what's going on here is about bringing up changes that need to take place and about bringing up how people can live better. It's clearing out old energy. This whole weather system was started by the nefarious ones, but we actually think it was amplified in certain places by the white hats because they needed to clear out energy and they needed to create changes. The earthquake does not feel as if it was fake. The flooding, they had flooding. They've had a lot of flooding in Australia for the last 2 to 3 years. And this flooding just feels like it's a clearing out and a purging. That's what we got last year. That's what we're getting again this year. And while we did see some triggers by the nefarious ones, it feels like for example, this is how we saw it, like these spikes of dark energy, just boom, 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 that we took as maybe weapons, triggering things. However, instead of that continuously happening over and over and over again, it feels like it may have been initiated, and then we saw all of that wiped out, and we saw this kind of calming energy coming behind it. So that's what tells us that it was probably triggered by, in many parts of this, triggered by the nefarious ones, but then the white hats came behind and kind of calmed everything down. Not to say it took away all these weather conditions, because again, the weather conditions is one of the best ways that Gaia has to purge and clean out. Okie dokie. Let's see here. What can you tell us about the Amish people? They're under the 501c and they don't pay taxes, sex trafficking, etc. Not sure why they threw that in there. And now they are uprooting and moving into different states. Are they part of the deep state? I think Shelly left that in there as looking at these communities. Are they part? The biggest question she had, are they moving? Are they part of the deep state? Some of the communities were part of the deep state and they were keeping the old ways, as you talk about it. And some of that is what came from the other countries. Some of these came and wanted to keep the traditions and the beliefs of their people intact. And that was just very natural part of the earth and not really political in any way. But some of them got taken over and some of them were used as tools or manipulation of the deep state or of the nefarious ones. So yes, we can see that they were involved in some of these communities. Some of them, it was done under threats. We'll destroy all of you if you don't do what we say, which is their favorite way of doing everything, as you know. Are they moving to new locations? Honestly, I don't see that. I mean, maybe there's 1 or 2 communities that are moving, but I don't see like this massive transition of them moving to other parts, because again, their roots are deep and that's a big part of what is important to them. So there may be some that are moving, but so are they still a part of the nefarious ones? It feels like there's just a tiny little bit of it, but not that much. And maybe it's that tiny little bit that we see moving, and maybe the movement that we're seeing is them getting out from under that and going back to their roots and going back to what they like. So the bottom line is, at this day and age, they're moving out of any nefarious control and manipulation, and I don't necessarily see mass movement into another state or country even. Will each state government go down? Will the taxation go away? by 2027. The state governments are never going to go down because it's important for each region to be able to govern themselves, and that's been one of the benefits of, or one of the benefits, or one of the positive things about having a country where you have so many independent states. There will always be federal laws that every state has to agree with, but there will be multiple different laws that will be individualized states. So I do not see that changing. I do see that it will change who gets elected to go to Congress, who goes to the Senate. I do see that being changed dramatically, not this year, not next year, but probably within 3 to 5 years. I see people going for periods of maybe 2 to 3 years at a time, and nobody goes for 50 years as they've done it in the past. And I see everything breaking down. Those, what do they call those groups? Those groups of people that were controlling. Much of it is from Israel, and much of it is from the big pharma and the big corporations. But I see all of that is already breaking down, if not completely broken down already. And so in the future, I see there will be states represented in this main government, but it's almost like it's going back to what it originally was. People to debate, people to express, and then make decisions, not tear things out or pull things out for months and years at a time. So yes, there will be changes in the state governments and in the federal government. Will taxation go away in 2027? I don't think it will go away in 2026, but perhaps in 2027. There is a chance it'll go away this year. And it feels as if it's something that might happen. Like, so for example, in 2027, when you're taxing for 2026, it may be that that's where will be the first time that you don't have to pay it, or it'll be dramatically different. But I do see the taxation changing in many, many ways in the United States. And a lot of that is still in the process of being worked out. Okay. Are there still obstacles for the currency redemption or Jasara? We talked about that. I talked about that a little bit ago. Nasara, Jasara, I still believe that they are going to have something like that. And it's going to be tied into the EBS, and it's going to be tied into everything. As much as there have been massive numbers of people awakening in the past month to 2 months, there still are many, many that are not. However, it's getting very close to the point where they can just say it all out there, and there will be multiples of people that say it's all a lie, because that's what they're already saying. And if they think it's a lie, and no matter what evidence you give to them, they consider it a lie, they're not going to change. And that's their energy. But it's very, very close. When do you see the Iran conflict completely resolved? This month, because I saw it was resolved last month. I see it as 98 to 99% resolved. It's just getting rid of these last people. And what it is they've gotten rid of the heads of all these people. They've gotten rid of the heads of all these nefarious things, but they had set up their lifelines, if you want to call it, and then their backup, and then their backup, and their backup. So now they're going through and getting rid of all of those. And this is where we said that they're shooting as much energy into, hurting humanity as they can. So it is very, very close to being done. But you see, they agreed to a treaty and then immediately break the treaty. So these are people that cannot be trusted. Again, not the Iranian people, only those nefarious ones that were taken out already. And these are the residuals of those that are trying to take back power. Okay. Let's see. Is it true that many of the president's wives were, as well as many actors, were transgender? And if so, was Jackie Kennedy a male? So there has been a lot of transgender people, way more so than what you've heard about in the last 5 to 10 years. Many of them have been cross-dressers. Many of them have deliberately changed sexes. This was also a part of the nefarious deeds, the way that they would change children. So This is something that is not an easy, straightforward answer. No, Jackie was not a male. She was a female. And however, she came from a family that had done a lot of genetic changes to their children, not to Jackie, but to one of the other children in the family, it feels like. And, but yes, there have been many, many people in power that were not the people you thought they were. And there have been many actors and actresses that were not the people that you thought they were. Will Mark Rutte, the president of the NATO Secretary General, soon be unmasked as a puppet of the world? So NATO is in the process of being brought down, and it has been in that process for the past 2 to 3 years. None of these things can happen quickly because of the fact that if you do anything too quickly, it's just going to cause a void, and in that void will become chaos. So yes, he will be taken down. Yes, everybody is aware that he was part of the World Economic Forum, and but it feels like it could be this year, but it's more likely going to be 2027. There's a man called Jay DeVille and his partner. They've created super patches that use vibrotactile technology for pain in the bottom. It is a patented scientific system that works on the nerves in the body and the skin to help heal the body. They moved their operation to Mexico. Are they safe there? Is this part of the quantum healing? A lot in that, and I'm getting tired. So VTT. This product is a good product. It is going to be very, very beneficial, and it feels as if there are things that are holding them back, that are keeping it from being widespread in terms of advertisement and getting it out to people and sales to people. It is good technology. It feels as if, the question of did they leave to avoid big pharma? It feels as if they left to be part of big pharma, if that makes any sense. There's so much in the US that they're breaking down these old paradigms, which will allow for those that are something like this, where individual scientists have put together something that's working. And but for whatever reason, they said, did it go to Mexico to avoid big pharma? But it looks like it's part of big pharma. So whether they move to Mexico to become a part of it, or what that means, I'm not 100% sure. But this is a good product. But it feels like things are changing around it now, and the way it ends up when it comes out might be manipulated, might not be exactly what it was started out as, and so I would just say be careful. Is it a part of quantum healing? It was absolutely intended to be, and it absolutely started out that way. But again, we feel these changes taking place to it, so we're not sure how it's going to end up. All right, I'm going to duck out from here now. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this. Massive changes are taking place, lots going on from the individual to the country. And remember to stay positive. Remember to be part of the light. Remember to find joy in your life. Ansaluia. Phew. Greetings. It is I, Brysentia. Woo! Lots and lots of energy. Albayon always gets those interesting questions, or sometimes tough questions. So when I follow him, I feel as if there's like static electricity around me. I'm just going to take in a deep breath and clear everything out. Whew, and just clear everything out. Whew, so that I can come in and be here as a part of you. So my intention tonight was to talk about the earth and the weather and the floods. And it's already been talked about by by Albayon and Crystallia. So I am going to find something else that we can talk about. I'm laughing because I hear that, Shelly's hearing like that music in the background when there's just that awkward pause. The earth, I so often represent the earth, and I am incredibly thrilled to be a part of all that is taking place. I can acknowledge that today was a very powerful day. And as you know, it's always the days before and the days after. So even if you are listening to this at a later date, you're opening up and you're feeling the energies of this. So let's everyone just take a moment and pause. What is it that you really want to just either let go of? Or what is it that in your energy bodies you want to just let the light come in and let it amplify and let it just help, whether it's a clearing of an illness, whether it's clearing of problems in your life, no matter what it is, just be open and just feel this universal light as it's pulsating in and as it's going into each one of you, because it's a very, very important day. And by receiving these energies, it's going to allow them to be in your energy field so that as we move forward and more of the high vibrational energies come into you, you'll already have it there. It'll already be a part of your energy bodies and it will be activated very, very easily. We've talked oftentimes about receiving downloads, whether it was from the central sun or from your own sun, about the solar flares, about the three-eye atlas, about different planets interacting with one another. And it's important to know that all of that is happening. And there are many, many different ways that you can look at it. And there are many, many different ways that as your awareness grows, that you are actually receiving the benefit of it. But let's talk about you for a minute. We spoke, multiple years ago. When we started talking to you, what was it, 2021 or 2022? I cannot remember. I know I spoke with Shelly much longer than that. But you will recall that there was a time in which there was like an encapsulation around the planet. And people's souls would get stuck in that encapsulation. You've all heard this before, have you not? And what it did was it caused people to incarnate, die. And it was a cycle that would just spin and spin and spin and spin. And the belief or the reality that people had as they were having those experiences, I'm talking about for the thousands of years from the fall of Atlantis until about 10 years ago, maybe 2012. No. Was it earlier than 2012? I can't remember. Anyway, that was released. There was literally a shell around your planet that held in energies. And that's how they were able to drop the vibrational frequency when the vibration of the universe, a lot of the universe was also a lower vibration. However, there were pockets of these very high vibrational in your solar system, and they were unable to come in and have an impact on you because of this shell that was around your planet. And when you would look up, that astral plane, as they called it, was this shell that was around your planet. And so now it's all been dissolved. And now you have come to realize that what you thought was your entire soul was but an aspect of your soul. And so, sorry. Shelly's getting a very dry throat. But anyway, so what you thought was your entire soul was actually just an aspect of your soul. So for all of you that did energy work, all of you that had readings, all of you that did, was communicating with your soul, you were looking at your Akashic records. Those Akashic records were what was associated with that aspect of your soul that was stuck inside that energy barrier that kept you connected into the earth plane. So finally, through the clearing out of the universe, through the clearing out of this planet, and this happened before the nefarious ones had started to be really dismantled. But as the vibration of the earth rose high enough, it broke that bubble, it broke that energy, and your soul was able to return back to its galactic soul, as we'll call it, which is where your true soul is. It's out in the universe, or you could call it the soul plane, you could call it the all that is, you can call it heaven. There's lots of different reasons or places that people call this, but where your soul is located is not the issue. What's important for you to know is that your soul encompasses many, many, many different aspects. You've lived in many different parts of the universe. You've lived multiple different lifetimes upon the planet, and you are way, way, way more than that aspect of you that you thought you were. When you thought that was all of who you were, that was not all of who you were. And so one of the biggest part of the healing process has been the integration back into soul of that aspect that literally lived for thousands of years and incarnate. And so this is another reason why, as that was, and I want to say sometime between 2012 and 2015 is when that, no, it was later than that. I don't really have a close number for you because everything happens over time. I want to say between around 2015, give or take a few years. And maybe some of you know this, maybe some of you know this more specifically, but for many of you, you just felt as if suddenly, oh my gosh, there's a much greater energy. And when I do my prayers and when I, talk to God and when I'm talking to, to my higher self, there's something much bigger there. I'm actually think it was more between 2015 and 2018. Sorry. That's that ADD kind of getting stuck on that rabbit thing. But anyway, the point is all of you recognized that something is different. And of course, one aspect of that was the fact that there was a much higher frequency that was now integrating into the earth and helping to break down all that third dimensional frequency. But the key here that I'm trying to express is that each one of you have the ability to tap into your soul that is part of the universe. Some people call this an oversoul. Some people call it your monad. There are many different things that people can call it. But the point is that when you're connecting to this vibration of who you are, this is when you have access to infinite potentials. That you thought you had access to infinite potentials as you connected into your Akashic records and into that aspect of you. But when you do it, when you look in comparison and you feel what it is now and you realize what it is now, you realize, no, that was a fraction of what I now have available to me. So I would encourage you to start considering that for your life. Consider, how can I work with this energy to make me more the person I want to be? How can I connect into that energy to help manifest around me everything that I'm seeking to manifest? So the more that is anchored into your everyday life, things change around you. And I believe that there are already millions of people that are doing this. Some may be aware, some may not be aware. But as all of this is bringing down that galactic vibration and energy, it's helping to change the collective consciousness of the planet so that it can rise up to a higher frequency. You are living in a very exciting time. I too love this group of Sirians that came in to speak. And the fact that they talked about, now they're actively talking about anchoring 6th, 7th, and 8th. I mean, you've done nothing but think about moving into the 5th dimension for the past 20 years. And now let's look at the next phase. Let's look at the next level. So everything Albayon talked about is all your minutia of everything that's going on in every day. Not that it's not important, it obviously is. But here's another way to keep you in that highlight vibrational frequency of these massive potentials. Okay, I know there's some questions here. I'll answer as many as I can. And let's just see what I can find out. Whew. Whenever I have a NAET treatment, AI parasites always come up. What is happening to our bodies in regards to AI attacks and detoxify and get rid of them? AI attacks. I'm wondering if this is something that Albayon was talking about when he was talking about those nanobites and those different things that had been injected into the body. I mean, it's in your food, it's in your medicines, it's in all these different things. And how can you get rid of it and detoxify it? So there's the parasites that you might have in your digestive system. But when they talk about this parasite, makes me wonder if it's something. I'm not going to have a good answer for you because it's not coming through. Maybe this is something that we can look at again later, and maybe earlier in the night when Shelly's not starting to get so tired. But when I just look at this and I ask to know, I'm actually getting that it's not as prevalent as this person is thinking it is. It's obviously a problem that this individual is having, but it does not feel to me like it's a widespread problem that millions and millions of people have. What I'm picking up from this is that she has things going on in her body. Maybe it's programming, and you can deprogram something so that it's not having an impact on you. I would say do something like that, like a deprogramming or a cleansing, and cleansing your physical body and also cleansing your mental, emotional, spiritual bodies. So something like this feels like your whole body. So doing energy treatments, doing that red, ultra red therapy, all these different things that they have that are coming out here now. I would say that any of those could probably clear it. If it keeps coming back, then look at the underlying cause in you that is causing you to manifest a parasite again and again and again. Because if it gets cleaned out and then you go back again and it's back again, then there's something inside of you that's bringing it back. So whatever it is that anybody might be healing, whether it's this or something else, if you heal it and it's gone, but it's back, then just keep going deeper until for whatever reason, you no longer need to keep that in your system. And then it will be gone. Okay. Is it true that many movie stars, singers, politicians have already been executed in Gitmo, and that the veil has been lifted, and many of them are now coming back to assist us since the Lion's Gate? Okay, I think Shelly wrote this down because no, I don't see any relation between that. The individuals that were already eliminated, that had done crimes against humanity, treasonous things, I do not have a sense of them coming back through Lionsgate and now helping people. That being said, well, because she made it specific to Gitmo and these individuals that were traitors and the crimes against humanity. That was something about clearing out an energy and helping them to go away. That being said, I do see that there are many people that have transitioned, not just these from Gitmo, that are actively coming back and actively working with humanity to help to raise consciousness and help to raise awareness. So maybe some of these that were actors or politicians, yes, maybe, but I don't see it as an overriding thing. No, I do not. Could the ULBs please respond to the governor of Massachusetts, Mara Heasley, bills on regarding abortion? Shoot, is it saying to have abortion or to not have abortion? I'm not sure. Let's see here. I think they were wondering, is this going to bring up disclosure about? We know that was one of the things that the president did make very close at the beginning, banning it like as far as a federal thing, but that each state could then choose to do what the state wanted to do. And in other words, putting it back on the states instead of keeping it a federal. That's what I'm seeing as the energy. So what has come out, and one of the reasons that he made that decision was the horrific things that they have done with the abortions. It started out way back in the day, like 8 weeks, 10 weeks, something like that. And then now they do it with viable children or viable fetuses. And then, that's the nastiness of it all. And so it feels like she's making it something that people are looking at. And so that people can start asking about what is abortion and finding out about all of these other things that they just were clueless about. The vast majority of humanity, when they were asleep, didn't know what they didn't know. And so it does feel as if she's doing this, or this came up at this time for them as a means of looking at that and letting the public know about what was behind abortion, that it wasn't as simple or straightforward as so many people believed. There are lots of crop circles lately. I would like to know how we're supposed to interpret them. When you're looking at a crop circle, don't look at it with your analytical mind. Or I take it back, look at it with your analytical mind, because you may see geometric shapes that immediately trigger something inside of you. So look at it with your analytical mind, but you're not going to get the true meaning of it through your analytics. It's going to come to you through your intuition and through that deeper knowing. So you may look at the image, it may trigger something, and then you get an inner knowing of what it means. But many of these have been, actually, some of these are bringing water to those areas. Wasn't Many crop circles are in the UK, and is the UK having a drought right now? It feels like some of this is energetically bringing water to these areas and bringing water to the country and bringing it in as a means of supporting during this drought that they are having. But you always interpret anything like that through your intuition as opposed to your analytical mind. And then the next one was about, are the nefarious ones behind it? And yes, we saw some energy that the nefarious ones were behind it, but it is more so poor planning, and it is more so about just neglect and lack of true planning from the people, because they were out there in service to self instead of in service to the country. And so that's why they're in those dire straits. Oh yeah, Shelly is very aware of this. She follows this all the time. There was a very, very famous eagle from Big Bear Valley called Jackie. And can you tell us what she died from? They said it was severe anemia. Was that the case? And she touched many, many lives. Indeed, she did. Wasn't that? I mean, yes, yes. Jackie and Shadow, and in the many, many years that they've had the cameras up there, you've seen the eggs, you've seen the birth, you've seen when they didn't make it. And she had a very dramatic and impressive personality, did she not? But all of wildlife has their cycles. It feels like she was originally attacked and then like by another predator. And it didn't feel like she was young. It didn't feel like she was as old as they saw, but it felt like she was more towards the end of a normal eagle's life. But it feels like it was not anything nefarious. It felt like it was an eagle, not an eagle, but another different type of predator that attacked her. And she was found on the ground, and they did do everything they can. And it felt like everything that they were doing was appropriate. They're mentioning in here, what did she die from? She died from body failure. You know, her organs failed because of the severity of the attack. And even though they gave her transfusions, even though they gave her food, even though it seemed like she was improving, it was just, she would have died if they had not caught her. She would have died anyway. But they did find her. They did their best to try to rehabilitate her, but it was just too severe, the injuries. Yeah, but hasn't she brought the awareness? And there are many different eagle cameras around that bring you to the beauty of that bird. Okay, 138. What caused the earthquake? Oh, talked about that. I thought RFK was going to clean up the food, and still the grocery store is filled with the bioengineered ingredients. I think this might have been another part of the ones that Albayon was tapping into. Yes, indeed, there's still a great deal of the synthetic food in your grocery stores. However, there feels to me like there is more of the organic foods than there was. They've needed to clean up the fields. Okay, so this is an individual that wants everything to be done in a day, wants everything to be done immediately, and thinks that, okay, it's been 5 years, it should all be done and over with now. But this is what we're talking about. This is why it takes time. This is why you have to go layer by layer by layer. Many of the fields have been cleaned. Many of them have been cleared. Many of them are growing healthier food for you. But you cannot, just as that other question when it talked about wanting to do things instantly, and it would create a void, and in that void would be confusion, which would drop the vibration and frequency. So yes, it is changing. you can always make the choices of what you eat. You can make the choices of where you go shopping. And this stuff will all be gone at one point, but it's just going to it's taking more time. I mean, he has made massive strides towards bringing awareness and making changes, not only on the vaccine, but to the food, to the farming industry, to the many, many different layers. And so he is being effective. He has done a lot of work, and the change is happening. But it's just not where this individual wants it to be, or all of you. You all want it all done. Yes, I suggest you take a nice big leap to about 5 years in the future, and that'll be where you want to be. But these changes continue to take place. They will continue to take place. Keep the faith that you are a part of something more. Keep the faith that the light's already won. You're just doing these little pieces underneath here that are having an impact. So stay in the space of love. Stay in the space of compassion, feeling compassion for yourself, compassion for humanity, compassion for the changes, and know that everything is happening exactly as it needs to. Thank you for being a part of us tonight on Saluia. Phew. Wow, that really went a long time. My throat's getting so hoarse. But anyway, yeah, so this is Shelly back. Woo, woo, woo. That was amazing. So much information tonight. And as always, there's so much energy that gets shifted and moved with everything that they say. So be aware that you've been receiving downloads. Be aware that these changes are going out into the collective consciousness, and we're living in very exciting times. So thank you very much for being here. I truly appreciate it, especially all of you that stayed the whole time, because I know it was long. But don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share, and be loving and generous to yourself and to others. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.